This week's IG Live, I'm excited to be talking to the authors of a brand new book. We're going to be talking to Chantél and Mauli Bonner. They're going to be joining us to tell us about their new picture book, You're Beautiful, and also about the song that it's based on, which is really beautiful, and that's also an original work. So as you know, we are here. Hello. We're here every week, usually about the same time, but make sure to check the announcements just in case we have to change it. But typically we're here every week, Thursdays at 2 o'clock Eastern. We are going to be missing next week. I need to take a week off for spring break for the kids, but we'll be back after that. So please watch out for that. Hang on just a minute. There we go. And if you haven't heard, we also have an auction coming up. It's going to be starting on April 20th, so check your announcements. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
We are awesome. Thank you for having us on today.
Well, thank you for joining us. Hold on. Sorry, I had another request to join. It just needed to check. But thank you both for being here. I'm so excited to talk about this book because it is so beautiful and has such a wonderful message. So maybe we can just start off first that you can each introduce yourselves because you're much more than just authors. You guys both do so much. If you want to go ahead and, I don't know which one, maybe Chantél, if you want to go first.
Sure. My name is Chantél Bonner. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I provide individual and family therapy within marginalized communities. And then I also work as a certified sound practitioner, and I facilitate sound baths for those who are interested in stress relief or relaxation in a holistic way.
Amazing. So I really have to go next.
How do you call
that? I just make music and movies. No, but so it's so interesting because she's an academic and I'm creative, and it just goes well together.
It goes well together, yeah. Yes.
I love it. Well, don't sell yourself short. I believe you're an award-winning musician and, of course, very well-received film director. So thank you. It's so exciting to talk to both of you. And we, like I said, you do so much more than just write children's books, but we are here to talk about your children's books. But I'm wondering, how does being authors fit into the work that you both do in terms of inspiring the next generation, raising healthy kids and families? How does children's books fit into that?
Well, for us, we've always tried to be really intentional about spending healthy quality time with our kids. And reading and creative writing has been a way that we can do that. For a long time, our daughter, Ari, she's an avid reader, and our son, Gio, he loves creative storytelling. He has tons of comics. He just won an award at school for creative writing. And so we really love to have fun with each other and create those memories together as a family. I think when Gio was really young, he recognized that there was a lack of diversity in the classic children's books that we would read together. And it was really important for us as authors to ensure that there was representation and showed that children of all races and ethnicities can see themselves in positive images within our stories. I think we really wanted to foster confidence and foster pride and be able to create opportunities for children to see themselves and feel loved and beautiful.
I love, which is a great lead into talking about your book. Can you tell us about it? It's called You're Beautiful. So tell us about the book and what the inspiration behind it was.
Well, I'll talk about the inspirational part. You know, Chantél and I were talking about, so how do we begin to talk about race with our kids, and just because we wanted to know if they're having any incidents at school, or how do they manage it. And so I did it in a creative way because it can be a heavy topic, but I didn't want them to feel the weight of it. And so we did it as a song. So I just kind of freestyled a song, and in that freestyling of the song, where I kind of make up lyrics as we go, I was asking the kids questions and then making up more lyrics in response to their answers, which made it enjoyable for them. And it also made it in a way that it didn't feel heavy, but it felt like it was something that they could always remember.
Yeah.
And then that kind of started the launch of the book. I don't know if we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and the book begins with a young girl. She's teased because of the complexion of her skin, and her dad really affirms that she has beautiful brown skin. Her skin's so beautiful, and in fact, it's actually part of the song that Mauli wrote throughout the story. And so, as we travel through the story, there's other parents that affirm their children for their diversity, and there are other parents who kind of teach that although children may be different, there's beauty in everyone. And so that's kind of the premise of the story.
It is. It's such a beautiful book, and like you said, it's they're really affirming the children, and it's all about self-love, kind of combating other messages that they might hear in the media or kids on the playground. But it does it in the context of talking about race and diversity specifically. Why is this message something that is so needed for kids today?
Well, for me, I think it's so needed because many children, especially those with brown skin, they're exposed to a lot of negative or limiting portrayals in the media, like you said. And so sometimes they face exclusion or sometimes they're teased from their peers. And without positive representation or without affirming messages, it's easy for them to kind of internalize those images. And we don't want our children to feel inadequate or feel invisible. And so books like these, they really kind of plant the seeds to combat those negative thoughts from forming.
Right.
And I mean, and also we wanted it to be a tool for parents as well, to be able to teach children, because we realized that when we were looking for literature, we struggled to find the right book for us to be able to read to our children and have conversations. And so we wanted this to be a tool to not only help parents teach their kids about their self-worth and beauty, but also teach kids that there's beauty and diversity.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that too, because I mean, one, it struck me when you were talking about your son, how young he was when he noticed that there was a lack of diversity. Because I think a lot of times people think kids aren't aware of it, which of course we know is not true. But then, like you were mentioning, sometimes it's hard for parents to know how to talk to their kids. So this is such a great tool for parents to know how to have that kind of conversation, like you said, but not make it age appropriate. Like not too heavy,
Right.
but still actually talk about it. And something I know you've talked about, the power of representation, how important it is to change the narrative, especially when we're talking about Black and brown kids. Like I know, Mauli, in your work, you do a lot of, and I think the nonprofit, which we'll get to later, or your organization, talking about making sure kids know about African American figures from history, making sure they have that representation. And getting back to your point about having those positive image, what effect do you think it has on children when they're able to see those kinds of positive images?
I mean, it really helps to build their confidence. It helps them to expand their vision. It helps them to know what's possible. I think when they see images that reflect their beauty or that reflect their intelligence or their potential, it really affirms their identity, and it really changes the narrative from limitation to empowerment. I think it serves as like kind of a mirror of what you can be, and it opens doors to a brighter future.
Because I think one thing, what is true is that there are some barriers that race might play with certain whether jobs or paths that one might take. But for a kid, they shouldn't think that there are these barriers for them. So when they look at art on a wall or in a book, they should think that everything's possible without the parent having to say, you can overcome this, even though you don't see yourself there, you can be, so instead of having to teach our kid that, see it and believe it. And so that's what we're hoping more and more art and books can do for children.
That's beautiful. I love that kind of positive take. Instead of talking about the barriers, show them what's possible, show them that they can do it. And of course, we can't talk about the book without talking about the song. You've mentioned it a little bit, but what was the process? So you started off with a song. How did you work on? Then you said, okay, this should be a book. What was the process of turning it into a full-fledged story?
So, kind of like what I was saying in the beginning, how she's got all the degrees, and I'm like just freestyling it and like, this works. Yeah, let's just take the lyrics and it's a book. And she's like, okay, well, now that we see it on paper, this there's messaging here. And I'm like, right. So I thought it was going to be like super easy. Let's just take the song, put it on paper. But it took some time for us to really kind of play with the wording, because the kids aren't there to kind of feel our touch and us show them their skin. So in reading a book, so how do we put that in the book where someone is just reading it and can still get that love and attention that we were giving in the song? And so it took some work to do it, harder than I thought, but the message stayed, so which was great.
I love it. And I just wanted to point out some of the comments. I know you guys aren't able to read the comments as you're talking. Someone who's saying what a great book this is, that she got bullied as a kid because of her dark skin, but her mom was there reassuring her and telling her skin was like chocolate. So again, just the importance of the role the parents can have here. And then a few other comments saying how much people love the book. So, we talked about how your book helps children celebrate what's unique about them as well as about others. What do you hope kids take away after reading this book?
Yeah. I just hope that the kids feel loved and seen and beautiful. And I also hope that they in turn see the beauty in everyone else. So rather than differences, they're seeing beautiful differences, not just differences. I hope it just makes everything so simple the way it should be for kids.
And I think I want kids who may feel like they don't belong or like they don't fit in to know that they do in fact belong, and that they are beautiful just the glasses or freckles or all these little attributes that could potentially make someone feel different. And I just hope that kids can see themselves and say, you know what? I'm beautiful too. Yes, I'm perfect the way that I am, and just really feel good about that. And to Junior's point, I think that helping children of all backgrounds recognize and appreciate the beauty in everyone, and brown skin, and that will hopefully foster love and respect amongst all the children.
Right. And I have to mention the video that you did as well, which I think there's a QR code on the book that you can scan to go to it, or it's also, I think Shadow Mountain Publishing's YouTube channel has it. And it's so sweet. I think those are your kids, right, that are on the video. I mean, and the song is just so beautiful. I actually had to send it to my family. I was like, you guys, you all need to listen to this. It's just such a lovely song. So I just want to make sure people know they need to go listen to the song as well. Someday Mauli, I was looking at your Instagram, and you have this post. It was from a while ago, but you were talking about just how grateful you were to the work done by previous generations, talking about rising up from slavery, talking about the civil rights movement. And here you guys are carrying on that work, uplifting the next generation, kind of like how each generation has its own challenges. So what do you see as the challenges for kids today? And how does your book and your music kind of help address that?
That's a great question. I think it's clear that there are challenges in every generation, but very different. Very different. And we do reference challenges from previous generations and try to build on those, but the challenges of this generation is unique because I think in the past, before we had so much access to everyone's lives, people were navigating their family's experiences or their lives. But now with social media, kids can go on and they're feeling the weight of the world. They're seeing the world's experiences. Their friends and their acquaintances and random people they don't know. They're having to hear these stories and feel these stories. So that can be very, very heavy for a child. And so I think this should be a whole nother book, but to be able to limit how much access children have to the world is important, because it's a lot, because it's hard enough dealing with their own stuff. And so hopefully we can try to fill in some of the weight of what they're getting from social media with positive information and affirmations for the children.
That's such an interesting perspective, because I always, you think about social media as being a way to connect people, but I hadn't really thought about it as that you're connecting to their problems, and you're seeing how, especially for a child, I mean, I think that's overwhelming for us as adults.
Yeah.
That I hadn't really thought about that in terms of kids. That's really too much. yeah, for them to handle. And I love how your book and your music really helps them process things that maybe they've heard on the playground or somebody says to them, you know.
Right.
And speaking of which, I also I wanted to give you time to talk about the organization that you founded, Lift Up Voices. Can you tell us more about that? Because I took a look at it. The work you're doing is really amazing with that as well.
Well, we both, work heavily in the nonprofit, and she explains it way better. Can you start it off? And then I'll just go chat. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's an organization that empowers young people within underserved communities. Our mission is just to use creativity, like music, like art, and use it as tools for growth, self-expression, and social change. So we really empower some of the youth in the program to access education and have opportunities that they would not have normally had.
And we're able to do workshops globally, and so there's some in the inner cities, but we also go all over. And it's really incredible when you're able to give them something that they didn't think they could have or have access to. And so it's just a really fun thing for us to be able to do together, for sure.
Do you think when you go internationally versus when you're, say, at a siting here in the U.S., are the challenges different, or are you kind of hearing the same thing from young people all over as far as like what they're facing?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's very similar. So the youth respond to music and mentorship the same. So their challenges and their community challenges are different, but how they respond to the workshops we do are the same. It's the same empowerment, the same light that kind of lights up in them, because when you go into the place, a lot of times, it's a dead energy, a lulled energy. And then when they start to buy in to what we're doing, it's just the best thing ever. And we try to keep in contact with the different organizations we work with so that the kids can continue to have access to our mentors.
And this is also a way that we really empower them, because they don't oftentimes get to access their talents in these ways, working, operating cameras and singing and writing, and it's just a really joyful experience when they can recognize their talents and show them, and they can lead them to other avenues in life.
What do you think like you talked about, like kind of the arts, the power of the arts to help them access feel that talent and feels good about themselves. What do you think it is about like music and art and everything that you talked about as far as really being able to light those kids up?
Okay, so this is where I need to go back and get the degrees on this, because what I have witnessed and realized is we have worked with groups, and we also have, our nonprofit is also, we have a base in Australia that focuses mainly on those living with certain disabilities. And there are nonverbal children who have gone into the program and are at the end of the program performing and singing full songs, and they were nonverbal when they began. There is something in music that brings out a voice that people didn't know they had within them. And so there's just magic in it, and I know that there's science behind it, but we just realized how influential music can be, and then we just kind of evolved from that to be able to do more in the arts, which was film and other things. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you. And I encourage people, of course, go buy the book, listen to the music, go check out its Lift Up Voices and see how they can support the work that you're doing. What's next for you guys? Are you thinking of, I know this one just came out, so maybe it's too soon to ask, but are you thinking of doing more children's
Never
books?
too soon. Never too soon to do another children. Yes, we're already thinking about concepts for our next book. And you're working on another project?
Yeah, I'm working on another film project that talks about early Black pioneers. But really, Gio, our son says, what he said to me was like, Dad. I've written, because he's a creative writer, I've written more books than you guys. So really, I should be the one publisher. Like, yes, Gio. So we really want to try to get our kids involved with writing stories because we have a great reader and a writer as a kid. So we're looking forward to those next steps.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. And of course, when we see about it, we will share about it with our audience as well. Thank you both so much for joining us. This is so fun to talk with you and so inspiring the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again.
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
And again, everyone, the name of the book is You're Beautiful. So please go check it out. And thanks everybody for watching. If you joined us late, this will be up in just a few minutes on Instagram. And as always, later it will be on our YouTube channel. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.